this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now in the hands of Ms. Lisa Lambert.
This is a pre-meeting of the Mobile City Council, Tuesday, April the 4th. We have appeals, we have requests for waiver of the noise ordinance on Mill Street, at Mill Street Park on May the 27th, 8 a.m. until 2 p.m. April 22nd, Ursuline Drive from 6:30 p.m. until 10 p.m.
That's mine.
Mhm.
Since that is right inside a neighborhood, let's change that to 9.
May 6th from 12 p.m. until 4 p.m. in Langen Park.
That's fine.
July the 1st from 10 a.m. until 7 p.m. in Langen Park. Public hearings. Today is a public hearing proposing an amendment to tax increment financing District 1 in the city of Mobile, authorizing the preparation of an amendment to the tax increment financing District 1 plan, authorizing the president of the city council to perform certain actions required by Alabama law and directing the publication.
Question coming from the council.
I haven't received this amendment to this point.
Chief.
Yeah, the amendment is to extend it.
I'm familiar. We had a presentation or something on it, but I just haven't seen the amendment yet.
Okay.
I'd like to just be able to read the amendment.
This is, there's a statutory procedure for amending a TIF plan, which is similar to the statutory procedure for adopting a TIF plan, so that if there was a step-by-step procedure, and the step right now is to have a public hearing to accept public comment on the concept of tax increment finance, as a financing measure and things, and the boundaries of the TIF district and things like that. So the plan will follow shortly.
So I just want to make sure I understand. There's no written material associated with this amendment at this point. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct. This is
Okay.
the purpose of the hearing today is to accept public comment on the concept of tax increment financing and the boundaries of this particular district.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public hearing to declare the structures at 282 Laurel Drive, 650 St. Michael's Street, 928 Nellie Street, 4400 Government Boulevard, and 5500 Kaiser Court, public nuisances and ordering them demolished.
650 St. Michael Street has a lot going on right there. I may even have to recuse myself from this one. We were under contract with the owner at one point in time to do the restoration here. There's some back and forth with them and deeds and a whole bunch of stuff. They have an attorney. Help me, Lisa.
They want it demolished.
Yeah, well, last night at 12:30 in the morning, one son called and a grandson called saying that they had changed their mind. I have no idea what's going on with them. So we may have to grant them a little bit of time, hear what they have to say. I have no idea, and I haven't even heard from the local representative as of 8:59 this morning in my last call. So if I find out between now and 10 o'clock, I'll let you know.
And Mr. Carroll, do you have an idea of time frame? 2 weeks, 4 weeks to hold over? And my position is we have the time to do that.
David, they've retained Douglas Curley. But Douglas sent me a note yesterday saying that now the executive of the state wanted to tear it down. And then last night they started calling saying, no, we don't. So if they retain an architect and move forward, then we'll just table it. If they don't, we'll move quickly. I just don't know. I mean, I'm just as confused as everybody else on this one. So I'll let you know. Hopefully by 10 o'clock, 10:30.
Thank you.
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. Sabrina Mass canceled, but I think that she called back and said that she rescinded her cancellation. So she will be addressing the council. Betty Shen stated her reasons for opposing annexation. Robert Battles wants to present pros and cons of annexation. Ordinance is held over. 88006, ordinance approving a land exchange and authorizing the execution of a land exchange agreement between the Board of School Commissioners of Mobile County and the City of Mobile.
Which one is this? Is this our Callaway? Okay.
64015, amend Appendix A, DDD of the UDC.
This is still Callaway.
64016, rezone property located at 6815 Cary Hamilton Road from RA to I1. 34017, ordinance to levy taxes for this tax year beginning October 1, 2023, and for successive years. This is the ad valorem tax. Consent resolutions held over. 03339, concurring the reappointments of Mary Stewart Nelson to the Alta Point Health Systems, Inc. Board.
Mr. President, if we can get a legal opinion that we held this over for last week. Well, that's what I was asking. Do we have the authority? Well, there were two things. Number one, do we have the authority to go outside of Alta Point's bylaws? Which I believe state law says that we do. And then the second thing, there was a statement made by my colleague last week that Chandra Brown could not be appointed to the board, which I don't believe is in line with state law whatsoever, that we can appoint whomever we want and they can recuse themselves from a discussion if it pertains to that. The reason that I say that, what's the difference between us putting somebody on from an organization and us getting a letter from the CEO of Alta Point asking us to appoint somebody on behalf of Alta Point and them having the same vested interest in Alta Point? Because this is not supposed to be about an entity. This is supposed to be about mental health and the mental health care of this region. And the two, there should be no debate about an organization by the board. It's not a business board. It is a strategy and it is a policy board, and it's to oversee the finances. So it shouldn't be giving prejudice towards any organization at all, in reality by state law.
All right, as to Alta Point bylaw, well, under state law, this council, the council as a whole, has the right to appoint 3 members to Alta Point's board. The only qualification stated in state law directly as to that is that they be a resident of the city of Mobile. Alta Point is required to have bylaws and a corporate charter, and Alta Point can limit itself. So, for example, Alta Point's corporate charter does say that they have to present this council a nominee for that board. That's fine. To the extent anything in Alta Point's bylaws purport to limit the council's authority to name somebody under state law, I don't believe that would be operative. I don't think this is my opinion, by bylaw, I don't think Alta Point can limit this council's authority under state law. So to the extent that they're showing something in their bylaws that says, well, council, you cannot appoint these people or anybody with these issues, I don't think that would be operative. They may have a different opinion as to that.
Anyone else? Madam Clerk.
37342, recommend approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a lounge retail liquor Class 1 license to Busy Bee Hookah and Ice Bar Lounge on US Highway 90.
I'd like to hold this one for an additional week.
Resolutions held over. 37-834, approve a certificate of public convenience and necessity to Medivac Alabama Inc. to operate an ambulance service.
Mr. President.
Yeah, Mr. Jones.
Yeah, I saw the email that we received from Chief Lamy on this. And I think that laid out a very clear path for me, and I was glad that he did weigh in. So my thanks to Chief Lamy and his department for sending that to us. Thank you.
And it's my understanding, Mr. President, that they're recommending a 1-year time frame rather than in perpetuity.
Right. That's what I saw as well.
So does this need to be amended to reflect one year? Yes.
We can put that up there. Yeah.
Okay. I'll offer that amendment.
Anyone else? Okay. Madam Clerk?
08359, approve purchase orders for fuel for the Wave Transit. 08360, approve purchase order to Sunbelt Fire for bunker gear. 08361, approve purchase order to Empire Truck Sales for a concrete truck for public services management. 08362, approve purchase order to CDW Government LLC for annual renewal of NetMotion NetWare mobility software for MIT. 08363, approve purchase order to Insight Public Sector for 65 EliteBook laptops. 08364, approve purchase order to Stark Motor Cars for 40 Chevrolet Tahoe Police Package SUVs. 09365, allocate funds from the Stormwater Fund to Capital Project Municipal Stormwater Fees Project for various projects. 09366, allocate funds from Capital Improvement Reserve to Capital Project I-65 and I-10 lighting improvements. 21367, authorized change order with Inline LLC for LED fixture replacement for interstate street lights. 21368, authorized contract with Tetra Tech for disaster debris removal. 21369, authorized contract with Kimley Horn and Associates for engineering services for transportation planning study for game day and special events at the University of South Alabama. 21370, authorized contract with Dell Consulting for electrical upgrades at Copeland Cox Tennis Center. 25371, grant permanent and temporary easements to the Mobile area water and sewer system for Slava Creek trunk sewer upgrades. Consent resolutions being introduced, 37373 and 37374, 375, and 376 are recommending approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a restaurant retail liquor license to Sideways Restaurant on Spring Hill Avenue, for issuance of a retail beer, table wine, off-premises only license to Piggly Wiggly on Navco Road, for issuance of a retail beer, table wine, off-premises license to AFASH Food Mart on Government Boulevard, and for issuance of a retail beer, table wine, off-premises only license to AFASH Food Mart on Cottage Hill Road. 40, 377, 378, 379, 380, 381 are declaring the structures public nuisances and ordering them demolished. 6382 and 383 are determining appropriations to future leaders working O'Shell Road School of Creative and Performing Arts, serve a public purpose, and approve payment. Resolutions being introduced, 01384, authorize agreement with Pyrotechnico Fireworks Inc. for display. This is Parks and Recreation, $35,000.
Mr. President,
Yeah, Ms. Reynolds.
what is this one for, these fireworks? This is 4th
Fourth
of July? Okay.
Hey, Shonda, is that gonna be at the Battleship this year or somewhere else?
It will still be at Cooper Riverside.
It'd be Cooper
It'll be
Riverside
the last event
before.
Why?
because we're going under construction.
Oh,
Remember that was the issue
yeah.
with the Jazz Festival.
My mind is in space right now.
A 08386, approve purchase order to Gray Bar Electric. Oh, I did? Oh, 08385, approve item-based bid for printing and mailing of postcards.
Mr. President,
Yeah, Michelle.
Is this the long-awaited contract that will speed up the outgoing postcards?
That's correct. Councilman Small brought to me that it was taking 5 weeks, I think, to bid these district meetings out and get the mail outs done. So what we did was we put it out for a bid to do a master contract for the next year so that when y'all call for a district meeting, we can just let that to the winner bid, which is Gwyn's. And so we would ask that y'all move this to consent, especially given the need for district meetings that are coming up.
I was actually going to suggest that because we do have a lot of meetings coming up in the very near future. So 1 week in this sort of a thing makes a difference. So if y'all are in agreement, let's move this up. Either just call it out or move it to consent, Lisa.
We'll take it, yeah.
Just take it up.
Yeah, thank you.
08386, approved purchase order Gray Bar Electric for street light poles and arms. Traffic engineering, $65,278.50. 08387, approved purchase order to Gray Bar for street light poles with 12-foot truss arms, $58,672.50. 08388, approved purchase order to Best Price Services LLC for ditch cleaning services, $78,000. 08389, authorized purchase order to Cone for materials and assembly of skirt brush on cruise terminal elevators, $20,473.91.
Madam Clerk, going back up to 08-388. Is this going to be for certain ditches or what?
They are, there's, we sent a list of ditches. This is our first chunk of ditches that are going to get paid for the district contract. I think this is down by Old Military Road.
Sorry, I think these are a bunch of ditches down by Old Military Road is the first set. And then, really after this, this is the first contract to see, how much it was going to cost and how much the bids were going to come in at. And now we're just, I've already submitted the next set of ditches up that we're going to set with.
So they're going to touch like every single ditch throughout the whole city, or that belongs to the city, not
So we're starting.
residents.
We're starting with problem points, and then the goal would be is that the future vision would be to section the city off into either quadrants or 5 or 6 areas, and then let a contract out for somebody just to maintain that area. But we're so far behind that we have to just hit the problem points first, and then we're going to work our way through the rest of the city ditches, and then eventually, I'd say that's probably about at least a year out before we can get into contracts for different areas.
Do you have your list of all the hot spots that you're going to hit as you start putting these contracts in? Do you have a full list of?
We do them by the 311, complaints, areas.
Well, but you
and
said
flooding.
you already had one that you were putting out. So
We
I
do.
was thinking that you probably already had these
Well,
laid out.
We don't have everyone, but we have the list of probably the next 3 contracts that are going to go out.
Well, if you wouldn't mind just updating the council on where these are,
Okay.
and that way you won't get questions about it.
Absolutely.
That everybody would like to know.
Mr. Days?
I'm happy to see this come forward, and I understand your measured approach, seeing how it works, who does a good job and all that kind of thing. And I'm just very happy to see it come forward because a lot of the inquiries, complaints, concerns I get, as I'm sure my colleagues, is overgrown ditches. So good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
08390, approved purchase order to NEC Corporation of America for Smart Scan Fingerprint Identification Hardware and Software, $57,890. 21391, authorized contract with Best Price Services LLC for right-of-way mowing at DIP and Cypress Shores. 21392, authorized contract with PPM Consultants for fueling system work at Motor Pool and City Garage, $58,160. Call for public hearings 41-393, call for public hearing to consider approval of a certificate of public convenience and necessity to The Way to Go, Inc. to operate a sedan and shuttle service scheduled April 18th. Announcements.
Days.
Appreciate Mr. Linder sending us a draft amendment to the ordinance concerning persons addressing the council, and I just wanted to get a sense from the council to where we stand on that.
I had I don't know which one you're reading from, but I think there was a secondary one that was sent over, just very slight modification. So I'll be happy to read what you got there.
No, this is the one.
Okay.
It's that one.
Okay.
Mr. Jones, anything?
Yeah,
His
just a
comments?
question for the city council. Where do we stand on the?
Hold up. To Mr. Days' question.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
Mr. Carroll?
No.
What we're talking.
To Mr. Days'
You
question.
okay with?
With the rules.
You know, I read through it last night. I'm indifferent, majority kind of rules on this. There was only one major concern that I had with this, that we somewhat addressed, but we need to be careful going forward.
Well, in that case, I would ask the clerk to put it on next week's agenda, and I'll be
I
happy to
didn't ask
sponsor.
Mr. Penn and Ms. Gregory.
That's not a joke.
Hearing no objection.
Anything, Ms. Gregory, Mr. Penn?
No, I think we addressed the ability or not to write or to use the internet, and for people who need the extra help, then we were going to address that in the clerk's office. And basically, it's just adhering to the rules is what it all comes down to at the end of the day.
And we'll all have to provide, even in this revised ordinance, there's a certain amount of discretion left to the clerk's office, and we're going to have to support them.
Well,
Hold up, Mr. Penn, then Mr. Reynolds.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President.
sorry.
Yeah, I agree with my colleagues. I think it's fine to move on with.
Mr. Reynolds?
I'm not so certain that, Mr. Daves, you have the one that Michael had sent over that had some very minor changes to section 61, 2-61.
What were the changes?
Well, that's what I'm reading through now.
Where did they come from? And why weren't
So-
they sent to everybody else?
Well, I'd asked Mr. Linder to make some modification, and I thought he had sent it out to everyone, but since he hasn't, I'll ask that he distribute that to everyone so that you can consider whether or not it meets your desires or wishes.
Is it just a word change or?
No, it deals specifically with the taking some of the discretion out of it to empower the clerk to be able to rely on the rules to guide her decision rather than, leaving it up to her to be able to, and it's just not a fair deal to make the clerk make these difficult decisions. The rules should be steadfast and adhered to in all cases, but it does provide ample discretion to accommodate those with disabilities or those who have the inability to provide a written request to the clerk's office.
Did you?
Lisa, have you seen that?
No.
Was it done at your request?
It was done at my request.
Hold up, council, we got another week, and let's just look at it, and make sure, Ms. Leonard, can make sure that you email it to everyone. And
I apologize. I did a draft for Councilman Reynolds at his request, and I sent it to him for comment and review. I did not send that on to everyone, but I'll send that on now.
Yes.
When we left that meeting, I thought that the clerk had a clear understanding as to what she wanted and how she wanted it set. Because if she was operating under the guide, I think that the response would be led by the clerk, as she's the one that has to operate within the rule.
How about you read it first?
Let's
Yeah.
also give her a copy too.
Before we get into this discussion about what you thought and what you.
I'm not
All
going to try
right,
to outsmart
we got 1 week to look at it. Mr. Jones?
Yeah, I was just wondering if we could get an update on the communications director status on where we are with that, the hiring of the communications director.
Oh, I'm still missing 3 responses.
You're ready to turn those in.
Can we get that done, turned in today?
Yeah.
So we
Hoping in the next 30
really
minutes.
need to get this thing
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
All right. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Carol?
I met with an ad hoc committee for the MHDC ordinance last week, Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember the date right now, but we made some progress. I think that it was enlightening, and I think that we had some compromise there. And we've rescheduled a follow-up meeting for tomorrow afternoon at 5:30. 5:30. So hopefully we can work our way through the remaining portions of this. It's been circulated through the MHDC. Another group meets tonight. I think it's at the Beehive at 5:30 to 6 o'clock to look it over, see what the changes are and recommended changes. So maybe a week or two, we can have it back on the agenda. That's it, Mr. President.
Mr. Dave?
All right. These working groups that are looking at it, are they keeping in mind the importance of bringing our ordinances into compliance with state law?
Yeah, to answer your question, yes. The group is comprised of myself, Flo Kessler, Jamie Betbees, Tim Mudlow, another lawyer in there, Carrie. Carrie was asked, Wanda Cochran. So you have some very astute preservationists, also some very astute, Christine from MHDC too. So you have some very astute lawyers there and some very attentive city administrative staff that have been working pretty hard on this.
President,
Mr. Ronald?
with regard to the MHDC, I guess the idea, is directed to you, Mr. Carroll, would be that you're having these meetings with folks, and then are you planning to offer either an amended version of the ordinance that's been put forward or offer a completely new one? I mean, what's the intent, or what product do you expect to put forward?
When this process is finished and we have a structured ordinance in place that takes into consideration everyone in the MHDC, the administration, the different historic groups, then the ordinance will be resubmitted to the council itself in totality. So the old ordinance in itself would probably be non-existent. We'd table it and resubmit the new ordinance that takes everything into consideration.
Done, Mr. Reynolds?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Davis?
Well, at least as far as I'm concerned, it's going to be absolutely critical that whatever comes before us ensures that we bring all this into compliance with state law. That's one thing. The second thing is that I believe that there are residents of the city of Mobile who live outside, or let me say this, who live west of I-65, who are just as passionate about historic preservation as residents who live east of I-65. And I would hate to see something come back to us which limited the people who serve on whatever ends up being these boards to people who live in the historic districts.
Mr. Daves, all of that was taken into consideration in our first iteration and meeting, and I'm pretty sure and extremely excited to the fact that all those concerns will be addressed. I think that looking at it in terms of size and board governance and all those things were also taken into consideration. I think that everyone within the MHDC Preservation Society, also the administration, will be somewhat comfortable. Everybody's not getting everything they want, but the whole goal was to make sure that we are retaining our Mobile elite and hardworking preservation society, but at the same time adhering to what we need to do to be in compliance. So if you're worried, I'd be glad to send you a preliminary look at it as we go through with the other MHDC, with the other preservation society groups, and let you take a look at it in its form now before we go through our formal and final cut, hopefully tomorrow night, and let you take a look, see what you think.
Anyone else? Anything from the administration? Okay. We'll see each other at 10:30.